All right, here we go. This is take 2. The first take I did of this didn't record the audio. So if I sound angry, it's because I am. Anyway, so this is our practice test for our first test on Friday. I'm going to talk about a few things and then we'll get into the actual content. So first things first, the instructions. Graph the following equation. So we're just going to, be given an equation and you're going to go ahead and graph. Clearly mark 5 points. This is really for your benefit. So if you just put like a straight line like this, like I don't really know what points those are going through. And just marking these points clearly is just going to help you guys. And then using the table to assist is just going to be, you're already going to have the coordinates. You just transfer them to the coordinate plane. You plot some points and you draw your line or your parabola or your graph. A few other notes. Just remember, this is no calculators. This is no notes. You're going to be on your own. And I'm just going to remind you of my cheating policy. If I catch you cheating, it's a 0. And that's that. So let's go ahead and get started. So our first equation is y is equal to 3x minus 1. I'm going to go ahead and write it over here. So what we do is we look at our inputs, and the first thing that we're going to notice here is that our input does not have any exponents. So we know that this is going to be linear. That means it's going to be a straight line. So if our equation or our points that we come up with is not a straight line, we know we got to go back and check some work and make sure we're doing all the right things. So let's go ahead and start plugging in some points. We got 3 minus 2. And remember, we're taking these x's and plugging them into here. So 3x minus 2, that's going to equal negative 6 minus 1 is negative 7. 3 negative 1 minus 1, that's going to be negative 3 minus 1 or negative 4. 3 times 0 minus 1, that's going to be 0 minus 1 or negative 1. We have 3 times 1 minus 1. That's going to be 3 minus 1 or 2. And then 3 times 2 minus 1. That's going to be 6 minus 1 or 5. So negative 7, negative 4, negative 1, 2, and 5. And remember, when we have something that's linear, it's going to go up at a constant rate. So this is plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. So if that doesn't line up either, that's a key that our answers are wrong. And you need to go back and check your algebra. So now the next thing that we know is that these are the ordered pairs. We have our x's on the left and our y's on the right. We can go ahead and take those pairs and go ahead and plot them on our coordinate plane. So we have, starting at negative 2, we're at negative 7. At negative 1, we're at negative 4. At 0, we are at negative 1. At 1, we're at positive 2. And at 2, we are at 5. So now I'm just going to go ahead and make a line through all of our points. Our line is straight. And that's it. We got our 5 points clearly marked, and we're good to go. With our next one, you notice that we do indeed have a linear equation. Again, there's no exponents, but we do not have it in y is equal to mx plus b form. We don't have this, and this is what we want. So all we have to do is do a little bit of algebra to isolate y. This is to get y by itself. So I'm getting y by itself. What I'm going to do is we're subtracting 2x from both sides, and thus we get y is equal to 2x, and that's negative because it's minus 2x plus 3. As we go on, I'm going to rewrite the equation up here, and now we plug some stuff in. So negative 2 times negative 2 plus 3, because we're plugging this negative 2 in here. It's going to be positive 4 plus 3, so 7. negative 1 plus, or excuse me, negative 2 times negative 1 plus 3. That's going to equal positive 2 plus 3, or 5. When we plug in 0 plus 3, this is going to cancel out, so we're just going to get positive 3. When we plug in a 1, we're just going to get a 1, because it's negative 2 plus 3. Negative 2 times 2 plus 3 is equal to 1. Oh, excuse me. This is not equal to 1. It's equal to negative 1, because we got a negative 4 here plus 3. That's equal to negative 1. So negative 1 and 1. Once again, we can check the increase, or excuse me, the decrease here is minus 2, and it's constant. So we know that we are in the right ballpark with our numbers. So now we go ahead, actually let's just leave this up here, and we plot. So at negative 2, we're going to be at 7. At 7. At negative 1, we're going to be at 5. 3, 1, negative 1. Make our straight line, and we are good to go. Our next one, we are dealing with a quadratic. If we look at our variable x, we do have an exponent. So what this means is it's either going to be a parabola, or it's going to be a parabola. It's either going to be open facing or down facing. So it's going to look like a U or an upside down U. In this case, because this term is positive, it is going to look like this. So if it doesn't look like that, we're going to have some issues, and we need to go back and check our work for there once again. So 2x squared minus 2 is our equation that we're going to deal with, and my program that I do these notes in doesn't really like importing stuff from Google Docs. A lot of formatting issues occur, so I'm sorry about that, but it's all right. We'll be fine. So in plugging this in, we're going to get 2 times negative 2 squared minus 2. So remember, if we have a negative 2 squared, this is going to equal negative 2 times negative 2. That's going to equal positive 4. So this is 2 times 4 minus 2, and that's going to equal 6. We plug in negative 1. We're going to get the same deal. We are going to get a positive 1. If we have negative 1 squared, that's going to equal negative 1 times negative 1, which is equal to positive 1. So we're going to have 2 times 1 minus 2, which is 2 minus 2, and that is 0. We plug in we plug in 0. All we're going to get is negative 2, because that cancels out. We're going to plug in 1. 1 squared is 1, times 2 is 2, minus 2 is then 0 once again. And then lastly, when we plug in 2, we are going to get 8 minus 2 after we square it and multiply it by 2. And then subtracting 2, we're going to get 6. So when we plot our negative 2 and positive 2 values are going to be at 6. Our negative 1 and 1 values are going to be at 0. And our last one, I believe, is at negative 2. Very good. So now we make a parabola. Remember, this is curved. I had someone in one of my classes later on in the day ask me if we could just draw straight lines between them, and the answer to that is absolutely not. These are curved figures. You cannot be drawing straight lines through them. So we got our points perfectly defined, and we're good to go. Lastly, we got 1 minus x squared. So let's go ahead and just start plugging stuff in. And remember, in this case, that when we have this negative here, that doesn't get inside of what we're squaring. So keep that separate. So negative 2 squared Remember, this is 1 minus 4, because this here is equal to 4. And then it's negative, so negative 3, or we're subtracting. Remember, we're subtracting there. So now 1 minus negative 1 squared. This is going to equal 1 minus 1, or 0. When we plug in 0, we get 0 squared, so that's just 1. 1 minus 1 squared is just 0. This is just 1 minus 1. Then 1 minus 2 squared is equal to negative 3 again, because this is just 1 minus 4. So we got 0, negative 3. So at our negative 2 and positive 2, we're at negative 3. Then we're at 0, 0 for our 1s. Don't know where that point just went. And then lastly, we are at 1 when we are at 0. Then we just go ahead and draw a parabola. And that is all I have for the practice test. Once again, no calculators, no notes, no nothing like that. Please prepare. Please, please, please prepare. I'm posting this earlier than I said I would. I got done a little bit early. I had some time after school on Tuesday, so it's going to be posted. You're going to have all of Wednesday, all of Thursday, and the first half of Friday up until whenever you have class to prepare. Your test is going to look very, very, very similar to what we got going on here. Okay, let me give you an example. For example, I might not put this exact thing, but I might say 3x squared minus 4. It's very simple. The format is very similar, okay? So if you kind of know what you're doing and you know how to plot points and plugging things in, you should be good to go. Just make sure you're doing your due diligence and studying. Do a couple practice problems. I can post more if you would like to. And then in class we'll do a couple more. Okay? So, with that being said, have a good rest of your day.